So we can start. Is there all of those? Let's start with the simple ones with one blood rune, and then we'll work our way up. All right. So 1 mana, deal 3 damage to a minion. If that kills it, gain a corpse. So this is kind of like this is a Holy Smite but better, right? Because well, you gain a corpse if it kills it, and if it doesn't kill it, you still dealt 3 damage. So that's a pretty good card. I think this card is like just generally okay-ish. Holy Smite doesn't really get played though, but being able to gain a corpse while removing is something good. Usually only gain corpses when you play your own minions. So this card might be okay, but it's like it can be used in lots of decks. It just depends on what the meta looks like. Like if there's 3 HP minions, you just play this, right? It's also not honorable kill, so even if it has 2 HP, you still gain a corpse. Next up, we have Darkfall and Neophyte. It's a 3 mana 2/5 battlecry. Spend 2 corpses to give all minions in your hand +2 attack. This card kind of works with the 1-star. This card. I'll show you with this one, with a Nerubian Swarm Guard, right? Instead of summoning 4 1/3s with taunt, you then summon 4 3/3s with taunt, which is pretty good synergy, right? So that is a huge upgrade, obviously. Like this, you might actually be able to curve. That kind of makes sense. Spend 2 corpses to give all minions in your hand +2 attack. I like 2/5 stat line is not something to write home about currently in Hearthstone. But I feel like 2 corpses to spend shouldn't be that bad. I feel like this card has potential. Maybe not in a control dock, but like in anything that's got kind of mixed strategy, this could be okay. The Sourfang guy also works? Yes, that's true. If you want the token deck, well, you can either run 3 Unholy or 2 Unholy and 1 Blood. That'll depend on the rest of the cards, but let's look at the rest. 3 mana. After hero attacks and kills a minion, gain 2 corpses. We gain 2 corpses. I don't feel like this is good. I kind of don't feel like this is great. But I mean, worst case is a fireball, you know? Depends on how important the corpses are for the blood. This is a it depends kind of card. We'll see at the end. Alright, next up we have 4 mana Death Strike, lifesteal, deal 6 damage to a minion. 6 damage lifesteal, so you heal for 6 and you deal 6. This looks rather good, no? I think this is a good card. Like, this is a good control card. And then we have 1 mana 1/2 Noxus Cadaver. That's how you say it, right? 1 mana 1/2 battle card, deal 2 damage to an enemy and your hero. Is this card not mega busted? What are the red and green icons? The red is like you have to, in order to make build your Death Knight decks, you can't use all Death Knight cards. You have to have certain runes. So, for example, this card, you can only put a deck in a deck that has at least 1 blood rune, which is this red thingy here. It go phase 5 out of 5. It just like seems super strong for early board control, right? I don't know. This card looks good to me. 2 mana 3/2 battle cry. Give a minion in your hand attack equal to this minion's attack. So if this gets buffed, the other one gets buffed. I don't really understand. Like I understand what this works with the 4 mana 1/3s again. And it curves nicely. I don't think the random stuff is gonna be good enough. Like oftentimes you just buff like a minion that you don't want to buff and then it's useless. So I don't think the Vicious Bloodworm is that great. Alright, next up, we have an 8 mana 8/8 Taunt. Battlecry, raise up to 6 corpses as 1/2 Risen Footmen with Taunt. So this is like, this is what Ozumat should have been. The only thing this really does is like mega juices a sire that's in your hand. But other than that, I'm not sure if this card is good. It's like very, 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 very expensive. It probably goes well in a green token deck. The Bone Guard Commander. Alright, 3 mana at 6 destroy the highest attack enemy minion. It's a shadow spell. This is 2 blood runes, so now we're at 2 blood runes already, so stuff that is like harder to mix with other decks. You don't get the corpses back? No, you don't. But it still juices your sire because it's dead friendly minions. I don't know, this could go in like a mixed deck, but this is like one of the lower quality cards. Okay, this card looks good though, right? Destroy the highest attack enemy minion. You just do that. Seems super sweet for 3 mana. The condition is like almost no condition. Just super, super, super strong removal. 6 mana, 5/2 lifesteal weapon. So for 6 mana, I can Pyroblast my opponent in the face, but also heal myself for 10. Like this weapon, if played, never goes anywhere else but face. Right? I mean, it's good removal as well because of the lifesteal. Should have been a 5/3 because it's an Ashbringer, corrupted Ashbringer. I mean, it's probably initially designed as a 5/3 and then too broken. Then they realized it was too broken as a 5/3, so they made it a 5/2. Yeah, Pyro heal 10 over 2 turns. Looks good, I guess. I'm not sure if it's like fine to run in your deck. Probably not. You probably wouldn't run this though. Just like, I mean, it does what it does, but like in current Hearthstone, you usually don't do things like this. Come on, 2/3. Battle card, spend a corpse to discover a blood rune card. What were the other ones? Every card had a card like this. For Frost, it was a 2 mana spell that dealt 3, where you have to kill a minion. And what was it for Unholy? Let me just go back. So that 2 drop. If a friendly undead died. Okay. Spend a corpse to discover a blood rune card. I don't feel like this is good. Unless I have some like legendary cards that I want to play more of in my deck than I can have. I don't think this card's great. The Hematurge. 2 mana, 2 blood runes, blood tap. Give all minions in your hand +1/+1. Spend 3 corpses to give them +1/+1 more. I mean, this is a good hand buff, I guess. This kind of like, this feels a little bit like the 2 mana spell from Warrior Conditioning that used to be in a conditioning deck. Because by the time you have 3 corpses, you probably have 5 mana, so it's kind of like conditioning. Are you forced to spend max corpses available? I think so, yeah. This card seems okay, I guess. Like, hand buff was never great in Hearthstone, and I have trouble seeing how hand buff is great now. But like, this is like a good hand buff card because it's more flexible than most of the other ones. This is obviously good for everything that duplicates other copies, but the problem is a lot of the good token cards are spells generally. Like most of the time, the good token cards are spells. So This doesn't quite match up, but there's a few cards in here that spawn copies. There's a there's the Nerubian Swarmer that summons 2 copies of themselves, and then there's this neutral card all the way down here. The Malignant Horror. At the end of the turn, you spend 5 corpses to summon another. But the problem is, if you already spend 3 corpses to give you minions +2/+2, spending another 5 corpses to do this is like not that easy, I think. Like you don't have infinite corpses for like no reason. And doesn't go with too many other cards, so I'm a little bit skeptical on this one. Next up, we have Soul Stealer. So now we're at 3 blood runes. So if you want to play this, you have to play full blood, which is like very restrictive deck building. Soul Stealer, Battlecry, destroy all other minions, gain 1 corpse for each enemy destroyed. What? Wait, this is insane, right? Is this not insane? This is like twisting Nether with a body plus an upside. Twisting Nether with a body and an upside? Like, for sure, this is a good control card. I mean, this is like Blood is kind of control-ish, and this is very good for control. Yeah, it's 7 mana, 7/7. Alexandros Morgraine. Battlecry for the rest of the game. Deal 3 damage to your opponent at the end of your turns. Okay, so like every time it's your turn. Morgraine, more problems. And he has the Ashbringer. So this is like if you want to play a control deck, this is like a win condition, right? You just kill your opponent slowly, and you play 7 mana 7/7. Doesn't really work right now, I think. The reason why I don't think this works is because Denathrius is in the game, so your opponent takes like 15 damage over like 5 turns, because you're control game, and then you take like 15 damage, and then your opponent's like, yeah, here, I heal for 20. So generally I would think this card is good, but in the current meta where everybody and their mom plays Denathrius, this is probably not good enough. Versus aggro, this doesn't do anything. Versus aggro, you win because you're control deck. Like, you just win because you're a control deck. This will ramp up over time, though. Like, you can't infinitely Denathrius. And it will just amplify the damage you've already dealt. No, at the end of your turns, not every turn. At the end of your turns. But yeah, I mean, this will probably ramp up. And if you start doing any early damage to your opponent, I guess this would... Like, if you would have anything to deal early damage, this can just finish a game. Because it's like already on your turn it does 3 and then 6, 9. If you keep up the pressure, this will be like pretty annoying to handle. I don't know. I think the card's fine. Like, I don't think it's broken or anything. I just think it's fine. Not good, fine. Alright, lastly, 2 Blood Rune card, Deathbringer Sourfang. Taunt. Death Rattle, return this to your hand. It costs health instead of mana. Alright, so you basically just play a taunt every turn. If you have enough HP, if you have like lifesteal stuff, and you do have some lifesteal stuff in here. Yeah, together with the lifesteal cards is pretty strong, right? Like, basically what you pay is you pay 5 mana and 5 health for 2/3/5 with taunt, which is not great. You have a lot of lifesteal, so this might be fine. But it's like, it's not amazing though. And it is pretty infinite, but your life is not infinite, so this is not practically infinite. And the lifesteal cards are somewhat limited. Like, I think this card is also okay, but it's not great. Honestly, are this all the cards? Wait, how many cards do we have of the blood cards here? 12 blood cards? 12 unholy cards? 12 undead frost cards. What do you guys think so far have been the strongest? What do you think has been the strongest so far in terms of like frost, unholy, or blood? Oh, good blood cards that we saw earlier was this one, the blood boil. Like this card's insane. This card is super broken. For sure this card's broken. Like some of the really good early cards from Blood we'd seen, they weren't in here. They were already revealed earlier. Obliterate's also good. The 3-mana destruction is pretty good. Hmm. If I would have to rank them power level wise, just from looking at the cards, I would think that the best one is Unholy, and then Frost, and then Blood I think is probably the weakest. That's what I would think. Though Patchwork's a really good card. And Mage might have trouble closing out games. So you have to look at this a little bit more closely. Like there's also a way that that Blood is pretty good just because they're the best control deck.